Sing that shit.
Hey, what's up guys, this is the Redgear Pro wired and wireless controller. You're watching the Super Tech Show. Let's begin. And in this video I'm going to be giving you guys my review of the Redgear Pro controller, wired and wireless. I personally have the wired one, but the review is going to be exactly the same for the wireless one. It just adds the functionality of wireless, and the controller is completely the same. You pay more just for the wireless feature. Now I personally took the wired one because I use this thing on a PC, and even if I had a wireless one, I had to sit on a chair right in front of my desk, so it didn't really make any sense to spend more for a wireless one. So I just got a wired one, and it has an extra benefit. You get very low latency. So yeah, the time you input, you press a button, and the time between the action that you see on the screen is very less than a wired one. Not really that great big of a deal, but you know, just a little thing to be happy about. So here is my complete review of the Redgear Pro wired controller. It is basically an Xbox 360 controller, so you can see, but they did kind of improve on the Xbox 360 controller. The Xbox controller, the 360 one, had a very bad D-pad, so they shifted things up. This D-pad is a lot better than the Xbox 360 one. In fact, this one actually looks like the one from the Xbox One controller. So yeah, a lot better D-pad. I really like the D-pad. It has some great clicky buttons, not at all like the mushy feeling on the Xbox 360 D-pad. So yeah, the triggers, as you can see, are exactly the same as on the 360 controller, and everything else is kind of the same. Once you plug in, it has both X input and a direct input. So you hold down the home button. You can actually check it out in the manual, and you can switch between X input and direct input. If you don't know what it is, so X input basically lets it so that your computer thinks that this thing is an original Xbox 360 controller. Most games natively support the 360 controller. Older games support direct input, but just set it on X input, plug it in, no problems at all, nothing to worry about. X input is the way to go. It starts up with X input by default, and you can switch it to direct input, so no need anything, just plug and play. Simple as that. Almost all the games that I have played support this. It does have rumble motors, and the rumble on this thing, the vibration is really good. The range and the variety of vibrations are really good. I'm pretty happy with the vibration motors on this thing. 2 joysticks, offset, just like the Xbox 360 controller. Now, moving on to the joysticks. The joysticks are pretty good. They have a really nice and grippy feel to them. The buttons click feel is great, but once you take them on the edges, on the upper side, the edges do kind of feel rough. They could have been more polished, making the movement feel completely smooth, but that's just nitpicking. It's very smooth. It's buttery smooth, actually. Great job on the joysticks. I'm giving them a 9 out of 10, or even a 9.5 out of 10, except the roughness. So yeah, that could be improved, but again, it's a great job on the joysticks. D-pad too, it also has this turbo button, and what the turbo button does is you hold down the turbo button and and any other button on which you want to apply the turbo mode on. So like turbo plus this trigger. So what that will do is apply turbo mode on this trigger. Now what it simulates that as if you're pressing this button again and again like that, but all you are doing actually is just holding it down, and it simulates the feeling of pressing it again and again. Now it gives you an advantage in some games, like when you have to rapid fire, you just have to smash that button. It makes things a lot easier for you. Not really a huge advantage, but yeah, it's there if you want. The X, A, B, and Y buttons are great, feel great. They are illuminated, so these things light up, and this thing lights up, and that's it, nothing else lights up. That's the home button, which simulates the Xbox button. Start and back, and these are the triggers. Now the triggers are pretty nice, I like the triggers, but the shoulder buttons are not my favorite because you have to press them hard. The activation is very hard. I mean, the shoulder buttons are the only thing that I did not like about this controller. That could be improved a lot. So that could be improved by a lot. They are kind of hard to push, but it completely works. It's just not that great of an experience pressing the shoulder buttons. But once you start using this controller, you really get used to it, and then it just works. But yeah, they could have been better. All in all, a great controller. Grips, they do give you rubber grips on the sides, unlike the Xbox 360 controller, which did not have one, so that's a good thing. So yeah, you have grips on both sides. It's pretty lightweight, it's pretty nice, fits in your hand great. Again, it's an Xbox 360 controller. It's durable, so I've thrown it like in a rage once or twice, nothing happens to it. So yeah, all in all, a great controller. If you're looking for a wired or wireless controller, you can surely go for the Redgear Pro series wired or wireless controller. In the wireless one, the wire is pretty strong, and the connection point over here is also pretty great because that's the point where mostly the wire gets damaged. So yeah, that was my review for the Redgear Pro wired and wireless controller. If you're looking for a controller, well, this one is a pretty great one. And for a full total score on the wacky scale of STS, I'm gonna give this thing a 9 out of 10. The only cons I feel are the rough edges around the joysticks and the bad shoulder buttons. That's it for the video, guys. Give a like, comment down below, Happy New Year 2019, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.